Hey y'all, we're doing Jaguar today by DJ Rolando. So right off the bat, we have four things happening. We have this atmospheric sound. It almost sounds like a bird going, eew. That's gonna happen every 4 bars. This is just a cool thing that keeps each 4 bars sounding new and spicy and fun. It's just like, hey, next 4 bars, here we go. So that's gonna keep happening. Then you have this top melody. This is just the melody that's playing in the highest register. Do 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 do, that thing. Yeah. So there was that melody, and then you also have this simple 1 bar. Yeah, I think it's just a 1 bar loop here of these chords. Boop a doop boop a doop a doop boop. They sound like chords to me. Regardless of if they're chords or notes, but again, I'm pretty sure they're chords. They're playing consistently basically throughout this entire track. They serve as a nice anchor for this other high melody to dance around because it stays consistent. This high melody just dances around it. It's really neat. Then you have, at the beginning, you have this bass line. I put bass line weak because you'll find later we're going to go into a new bass line, and that's going to be stronger. Listen for the bass. So that's cool. So that first 8 bars just introduces the theme. It says, here's the main melody. Here's those chords that are going to be repeating the whole time. Here's a little bass line. And in my opinion, it's really these 2 things right here that are just the glue of this track. And so I love how we get it right away. You know the theme, you're ready to go. And now they're like, all right, let's get it started. So they're going to drop in a kick drum and then this really small offbeat sound. So that's going to keep playing. And here we go. This is where the bass line changes. So yeah, the bass line has changed. And I just went ahead and changed it for the rest of the track. Now, once we get this change in bass line, I feel like the track just gets even more momentum. Because now, watch, this bass line, it's actually probably just playing single notes. I'm not going to go back at this point. But it's important to note that it's mimicking these chords. So even though these are probably notes and not chords because it's a bass and that's pretty rare, just think of this as the same as this because functionally the bass line is now just contributing to those chords. And so it makes sense that it's the same pattern. So now we're just going to keep moving. Alright, so now we just added some drums. So I put funny hat. I don't know why I put funny. I guess when I first wrote the sound, I found it funny. We also have a cowbell. And then we have another hat. So just listen for those things. Hopefully you could hear that. Just think of this section as we're adding percussion. Enough percussion that it's going to keep us interested to keep hearing the same loop over and over again. So it's interesting here, they have us listening to this loop for 24 bars. So that's how great this loop is. I mean, this is such a classic track, and it's just cool how we were able to listen to it for 24 bars and still be okay with that. That's a long period of time. I mean, it's not that long, but it's certainly long enough. So, okay, now they're going to be like, okay, let's make it stay interesting. So they're going to add a bigger offbeat. Whoops. So they're going to add a bigger offbeat. I feel like whenever I've played this track, if people weren't dancing to it yet, once this part happens, they're always into it. So normally I'd be talking more and really breaking down every second of it, but the reason I just let it play for a while is because this track, its construction is so simple, and that's part of why it's so great. In that section we just listened to, they changed to the big offbeat, which was cool, and then they just added a clap. That's it. And then we just kept grooving on it for another 16 bars with the clap. Just wanted to mention that. Like, I feel like what all do I have to say? I mean, we have this fire loop at the beginning, then they just add some drums, change the bass line to have it add to the vibe of the chords, add some extra percussion to keep it interesting, then change the offbeat to be a bigger one to keep it interesting, then add a clap to keep it interesting. I mean, it's so simple, but it's so great. Yeah, so okay, I wrote suspense here because we're going to have this string solo come in. The string solo is what's going to keep this part interesting. It's just nice because it's not a simple repeating loop, the string solo. So because of that, it's able to carry itself for, it looks like 32 bars. And it's just a really good solo, so it sounds good. But okay, so let's listen for that. So these midis are doing a pretty bad job following the solo, but whatever, you get it. The solo's happening. All right, so at this point, the solo is still increasing in intensity over here, but I love how, to up the drama of this track, they took this chord pattern and then they just put it on some strings. So now you have the strings layering over those chords, and just with that, you're getting like an extra emphasis on that rhythmic part, and that just makes this track stay interesting and cool. So let's go ahead and listen to that. I know it's a dumpster fire over here. I know I didn't match it. I made this like a month ago actually, and I just decided to talk about it, so okay. But cool. So I love this part here because we just had such a climax that I love how after this peak, we're still moving quickly. Like, instead of just having a nice breath out, I mean, we still are getting a breath out here, but the track is very much still moving. I think it's neat how that happens because basically when you get to the peak of this solo with the extra strings doing the rhythm and then the solo going up and up and up, just on a matter of frequency, like if you're looking at an EQ, you just have like a lot of high frequencies here, a lot of energy. And I love how once we get to here, we're actually still at a relatively high point in the track because there's so many elements at play. Like the drums are still cranking, the melodies that we started with are still going, the new bass line is still going. But I think it's because we get this reduction in all this high frequency that it still sounds like we're dropping down. And so we are having a quote unquote rest in the sense of like, if you're on a dance floor, this is like clearly like, oh my God, everyone's freaking out. And then here, you're still freaking out, but you're not freaking out as hard. It just sounds cool. How about that? So at this point, they're just going to let the groove ride for a while. They're like, whoa, we just like brought you to this high point. Now we're just going to let you chill with it for a while because that was so great. So at this point, they're trying to cool us down again. So they dropped out that clap. They're probably doing this because they're going to set us up for another big drive at the end. So you'll notice here, again, like I said, they're kind of cooling us off so they can rise us up again. So now they're dropping out the offbeat. We're getting a little more chill. Also, if you like this, please subscribe. So now we're really chilling. So we have this breakdown. So now there's no drums happening. They're just letting the rhythm go. Again, because they're getting ready to build us up. So they're just going to finally like give us the relief we want before we build back up. So at this point, we have like a harkening back to the intro. Notice how the bass line went back to the bass line intro. The kick comes back, and so it almost sounds like the beginning of the track once again. And if we look at it, that's because it basically is. See that? But yeah, so they really are just getting us started back up so they can make it crazy again. I love this part because it reminds me almost like of what you would hear in like a rock band where they have the kick drum on just the first hit every once in a while. But yeah, so we have this nice build up. And yeah, let's listen for that, and then we're going to get it moving again. They're building us up in a similar way. They're adding the drums here. So they're bringing us up once again. They do bring in these string harmonies pretty early this time. So this part of the track's really cool because the kick drops out and the string harmony changes. So now instead of just supplementing this rhythm from earlier, it's going to have its own melody, which is this dramatic thing with the stabs. So listen for that. Again, that's versus what it was doing here. Here it's going beep beep, and here it's going beep beep beep, beep 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. It's different. And with that kick being gone, we're really just having to focus on this. So that's cool, because now we're going, oh wow, so exciting. And then it's going to drop back in. But it sounds more dramatic here than it did here, because over here this is rising in volume. Listen. But here it just starts on full on volume. I love how on this 8 bars, we're keeping it interesting by just switching up the strings, because now we're going back to this rhythm we had over here. That's just a nifty move, because with the addition of the strings, once the strings are in, so much of your frequency space is occupied that I feel like from a mix perspective, you can only put in so many other elements. So I personally just like to produce kind of like this, where instead of introducing something new, you take something you already had and you change it up. So you already had strings here, but now you just changed up the rhythm of those strings, and because of that, you're able to get another 8 bars and keep interest. So that's just pretty cool. But yeah, we're close to the ending, y'all. Again, please subscribe if you've liked this so far. There you have it. You end with that chord, and that's the track. It starts off by giving us the goods. We get that amazing melody, and we get the chords that stick with us for the whole track. We also get the cool atmospheric sound that sticks with us for the whole track. It gives us the cool stuff. And then it adds some drums. Then it changes the bass line to match the chords that's playing, so it keeps us moving. It just adds to a vibe that was already there. It adds to a rhythm that was already there, so that makes the song more powerful. Then it adds some extra drums, which keeps it more interesting. Then it adds a big offbeat, because y'all should know this if you're into dance music. A big offbeat is just a move. It's just a thing. And then they add a clap after 16 bars. Very simple, but kept it interesting once you get that clap on the 2/4. Then they add a solo with string harmonies at the very end to like keep pushing this idea. So at this point, we're at 3 minutes and 30 seconds in the track. We've just had this one big build up. Now we're going to chill for a bit. They even return to the intro, so they're playing a theme that you've already had, but they're just slowly dropping elements out. Like, as you can see, they drop out the clap, they drop out the offbeat, then they get back to the intro basically, and then they just bring it on home again. So they add they start building up again, they add the string harmonies earlier, then they have a new string rhythm, and then they just switch back and forth until the song ends. So I know that maybe sounded more complicated. The most simple way of putting it is they give us an idea, they build it up, they break it down, they build it back up a little bit differently than they did the first time. And that's Jaguar, and it's awesome. Boom. All right, y'all. Please subscribe. Check out our other videos. We've got a lot of tutorials now. There's probably like 15. I shouldn't say tutorials. They're more like these arrangement breakdowns. We've got some pop ones. We've got some techno ones. We've got some Boards of Canada ones. We've got a lot. So check out some of those. They're basically just this, but for other tracks. And certain tracks you learn there's certain techniques and stuff that you'll see in other tracks that are pretty cool. Like if you've never dissected breaking down pop vocals, you should really check out the Britney Spears or Lady Gaga one. Probably the Britney Spears one, just because those vocals get crazy and it's really interesting. And yeah, check out our Mixios. Those are mix videos where basically we have a DJ mix with a custom film. So we just had one put out by Mirovan Berlin. He throws parties in Croatia. He's based in Berlin. He's an amazing person. The mix is awesome. And I went and filmed some lighthouses Well, more like this one lighthouse in Port Huron, which is outside of Detroit. And yeah, it's pretty cool. So go ahead and check that out. Subscribe, like, tell some friends. And we're going to have a 500 subscriber special coming up soon. All right. Thanks, y'all. Bye.